It's been going on for quite a bit. So when I was originally a music major in college, and I remember it was actually the reason why one of the main reasons why I steered away from it. And I actually changed my majors entirely. For me, it's like a pretty big like physical manifestation.
Yeah.
Like I have been in performances where I've just completely just dropped my bow. It's awful. So and I've gotten past it a little bit, but not as much as I'd like to.
Okay, cool. Got it. You know what? I am so happy you're here. Are there things that you want to try, like groups you want to play with or whatever, but thinking about doing it is nerve-wracking because what if you drop your bow again, that kind of thing?
Definitely. So I would love to go back to playing at weddings and going back to audition for orchestras, things like that. But it definitely gets in the way.
I'm glad you're here, Sarah. I'm excited about that. What about you, MC? Curious, like, how are you with things? Where are you on the?
So, hi, Denise. It's nice to meet you. First and foremost. So I'm a music major as well. So I finished my Bachelor of Music many moons ago. I not in performance, but I did do in my last year, in my fourth year, I did chamber music. So I was doing a lot of accompaniment, doing ensemble playing. I do well in ensemble, but on like performing by myself, I definitely get, the butterflies, the inaccuracies in playing because, you get flushed and hot in the face and, trying to redirect the focus is a little bit harder. But my main motivation, so I don't perform very much, but I teach. So I teach piano and I teach violin. And I have students, I have a student in grade 10 RCM. She's preparing for her grade 10 piano exam. And we've been trying to work through her anxiety and her nervous. So I'm excited to bring back and I also teach her twin sons. And one of the boys is also starting to have that little bit of stage fright. So a bit of a dual purpose to be here. So for myself too, but to bring that the great knowledge that you'll show today with my students too, and in the hopes that it'll equip them and that they'll be able to apply some of the techniques to overcome their own anxiety.
Yay! This is very exciting. I am so happy that you are here too. So definitely, I'm going to give you something tonight that is easy enough that, so I've been doing I think we're about to launch into it, Marlene, just so you know.
No problem. Go for it. And just to let you know, Crystal is also one of the violinists. So we may have almost all the violinists here. If you want to go ahead. Sorry.
Nice. This is great. So, hi, Crystal. So, so just so that you all know, I've been doing this for over 10 years now. And so this is teaching about this, talking about this. And when I first started, I was actually in my former life, in my younger self, I was not interested in stress, anxiety, nerves, performance anxiety at all. Because I just was one of those people that nothing ever rocked me, nothing ever phased me. I could handle anything. And when I moved out to the DC area, which is where I live now, at that time, I was moving for a job where I knew absolutely nothing, to a place where I knew absolutely no one. And I was moving halfway across the country from my nearest family. And at the time, that was absolutely fantastic. It was an adventure. It's kind of like the Love Boat. It was exciting and new. So I was on board for all of it. And very shortly after I moved out here, I got the phone call. So even if you've never gotten the phone call, you probably know the kind of talking about. Mine was about my younger brother. That day he had been living with my parents. He was supposed to move out into his own apartment that day, but he had gone out to run an errand for my mom the night before, and he just hadn't come home. So that phone call was my parents telling me that the police had called to say where they had found his body. He died by suicide. He shot himself in the head. And just like that, there was a thing that I could not handle. and I was in a city where I knew no one, doing a job where I knew nothing, and I was halfway across the country from my nearest family. I knew I was going to need help. I did the usual things. So I tried therapy, I joined a support group, but even after 5 years, if I saw someone who looked like him, or an anniversary date rolled around, or even at work when they would recognize someone who had seen someone who was about to suicide, I worked for a subway system, and they would intervene and save that person. And I was in the room when they were giving an award for that. I would immediately be right back in it and think all kinds of thoughts like, how did I not see it? Why that person and not my brother? Like, just, I'd be flooded. By accident, I happened to attend a class in what it is that I'm going to be showing you all today. And the results were dramatic. I mean, not just for me, just for everybody else who was in there. And it didn't seem to matter what the problem was. They were getting these amazing results. And so at that time, I dove in, I got certified. But I've even helped teach certification classes for mental health professionals and other therapists, as well as lay people. And I tried to institute it at work. I would go department by department, all these different professions. I ended up teaching hundreds of people. And at this point now is me being in front of you. And the way that I got in front of you is Marlene and I had been having a conversation, and it was after one of the improv things that she did. Sarah, I don't know if you were there, but anyway, there were people there, and as she was going, she had us go around and introduce ourselves. And I had only been playing I only started playing violin since last December. So I had extremely little experience when I attended this thing, but she had told me it was for all levels. So I'm like, okay, well, beginner is all level. And then she was, the different people were talking about their experience, and they were talking about their violins. And first of all, people were saying, oh, I'm using this violin because my normal violin is in the shop. So I just pulled this from my wall of violins. Everybody was very nice, by the way, but I was extremely intimidated. And they're talking about their experience and how they started when they were little, and they, well, majored in performance or whatever. And here they are. And I'm like, oh my God, Marlene did not tell me that it was going to be like this. And I was trying to figure out a way that I could sneak out of the room or out of the Zoom thing, like pretend I had connectivity issues or whatever, so I could get out of it. But just instinctively now, because I've been doing this for so long, I also started tapping while I was having those thoughts. And by the time she got around to me to introduce myself, because I was the last person to introduce myself on that call, I said, well, this is my violin. It's not really mine, it's a rental. And I just started last December. And then with the way that she did the exercises, I was the very first person that she asked to play. And I did. And I could see the reaction of the people that were also on the calls. They were like, whoa. So I had calmed down enough to be able to be the first one to play on that call. And that is the kind of result that I would like for you all, that you all have something that you can use so that if you are in an audition and you get nervous, that you have something that you can go, or that you can, instead of thinking, oh, well, maybe not tonight, maybe now is not the time, that you can try it. So this is why I'm so excited that you all are here and that this is what we're going to be doing. So are you guys ready to get started? Yay! Okay.
Can I quickly explain why I also thought it was a really good idea to have Denise here, and why this came out of many conversations we've had individually with all of you, but it also came from previous experience for myself. But the particular reason why I thought it was a very good idea is because Denise helped me in a very specific situation. Let's just say that my stage fright has been under control for years, but I did have it at some point. But I have enough experience now, it's not a big deal. But I had a situation this summer that really was difficult. And it was just before I was about to record a podcast. to the point that I couldn't speak. It was just a family emergency, something that happened. And it just came to mind, Denise and I had talked about it before, and she explained what she did, because I told her that on that workshop, how did you like it, all this? And then she's like, no, I really liked it, but I was really nervous. And she explained what she does. And I'm like, you did not look nervous. And she played amazing that day, by the way. And I just couldn't believe that she had that little experience. I had no idea. And so when I had this situation and I was feeling like completely blocked, which is not normal for me, I just thought, okay, I reached out, and then he said, I'm free this morning. And then let's just say the podcast recording was at 11 a.m. We met like an hour and a half before. Mm-hmm. By the time I stopped talking to her, I was back to my normal self, which I just couldn't believe that. I was able to deal with the whole podcast immediately, where like maybe an hour and a half before I was about to cancel, like, you know, I couldn't even speak. And that's the reason why she's here today, and why I think is very valuable, regardless of how much experience we have, because there's always situations that you don't expect, right? And that's for when this type of work is valuable for us that are in situations, maybe your string breaks, or maybe you're in the middle of a performance and you have a situation, you know, or something that triggers you also. So that's the reason why I invited her, and I'm very grateful that she's here, and I will be quiet now.
No, I'm so glad you mentioned that. And that actually segues perfectly into the first thing that I wanted to talk about. So before I actually show you the technique, I do want to talk a little bit about it, but I do want to ask you first. So are any of you familiar with tapping, or sometimes it's called EFT? Is this your first time for everybody? Oh, Crystal is saying, okay, maybe. All right. I have a lot of ways to do it, Crystal. So I'm excited that you're here also. What was I going to say? Oh, so just a few facts about stress and the way that it works in our bodies and the way that it affects us, so that you understand why it is that tapping is so effective. Because when I show you tapping, it will look like it couldn't possibly do anything. And so I want to make sure that you understand that before we actually try it. So here's just some facts to keep in mind for when I ask you to do it. So the first thing is, and again, it segues perfectly into from what Marlene just said, which is tapping is great for all three types of stress. So when people are talking about stress, they're talking about three different kinds. There's traumatic stress, which is what people usually think of. So that is, you know, basically a threat of death. So like an assault, a death, that kind of thing. There's also acute stress, which is just a sudden impact or change. So that could be a job loss, some bad news like what Marlene got that she was talking about. But it's just this acute thing. And then there is chronic stress. So that is the constant, I thought you were going to pick up the kids. What do you mean you didn't pick up the kids? The wondering what for dinner, the printer that always jams, the unrealistic expectations at work, like all of that is chronic stress. So what I want you to know is that tapping is good for all three. And that what we are going to be talking about today is probably chronic stress. Like that's the demo that I'm going to give you. Just know that if you have some of the other things that are going on, that there are EFT practitioners like me that can help you with it. So that was thing one. The other thing was that I wrote notes for myself so I would remember them all. Let me see. Oh, it's important to know the actual definition of stress. So most people think that stress is the unrealistic expectations, I thought you were going to pick up the kids, the bad news that you got, whatever it is, but they think that the stressors are the stress. And actually, the definition is, I'm going to give it to you and then I'm going to translate it into something that makes more sense for us. It is the psychological and physiological response to a threat, whether that threat is real or imagined. So that's super easy to gloss over. So to say it in a different way, stress is the thoughts we think, the emotions we feel, and the physical symptoms in our body. So the flushed face, the sweating, the being butterfingers, dropping your bow, all of that, the heart, the throat closing, all of that is what stress is. And the reason that tapping is so effective is because when it interrupts the stress response, it changes the thoughts that we are thinking. It can change the emotions that we are feeling. And it stops the physiological responses that we're having when we're having that response to the threat. And it's important to remember that the other part of that definition is whether the threat is real or imagined, because you all know what imagined threats are. That's the worry, that's the fear. So when you are thinking about that audition or that performance and you are getting nervous about it, it's not actually happening. Nothing is happening that is a threat to you, but you're still feeling the response. So you're still experiencing the stress, and tapping can stop that. Cool. All right. The last thing I want to say about stress before we just jump into the demo is, so your brain, there's something called the triune brain model, which is, if you think about your brain, you can divide it up into 3 parts. The first part is the frontal cortex. So that's where your logic and reasoning is. Your midbrain is your limbic system. So that's where your emotions are, memories, that kind of thing. And then there is the reptilian brain. So that's the part of your brain that has the amygdala. It's responsible for your fight or flight response. Also your freeze response, but whatever, fight or flight. So here's what I want you to know. The part that is responsible for the fight or flight response does not have access to logic or reasoning. It is completely cut off from that. And this is why you cannot talk your way out of a panic attack or a stress response. It's why you can go to talk therapy for years about your performance anxiety. And it might do a little bit of good, but it's never going to have the impact that something like this will, because when you're in talk therapy, you are frontal cortex to frontal cortex. That's the exchange that is going on. The part that's actually that is causing the stress response doesn't have access to that information, and it doesn't have access to that intervention, because this actually interrupts the stress response. This hasn't the impact that talking can't. And you guys know this because everybody's had the experience of somebody being in a panic and somebody else saying, calm down. And the response is always, I'm not going to calm down, you calm down, or whatever it is. Like it doesn't work. I think there was one more thing I wanted to say about that, and I did not write it down. Okay. But here is what I will say. So there have been many, many studies of tapping, and one of the things that it does is that it reduces cortisol levels dramatically. And that's why it has the impact on the stress response, and so also on your performance anxiety. In a study that was done that compared tapping to talk therapy and a controlled group that got no intervention at all, the group that got the tapping for an hour got a 24% decrease in their cortisol levels. Both the talk therapy and the no intervention at all had no impact to their cortisol levels. So anything that is going to impact cortisol or some of the other markers of a stress response that dramatically is going to have a dramatic impact on both your stress and obviously your performance anxiety. Cool. Yay. Okay, I see responses. That is great. All right, you guys ready for the demo? This is my favorite part. All right, cool. So here's what I want you to do. I'm thinking. All right, I got it. This is what I want you to do now. I would like you to pick something. Let's do a pet peeve, because that's pretty low stakes, but you'll be able to see the impact that tapping will have. So does everybody know what I mean by a pet peeve? Awesome. Wait, is Marlene saying something? I don't know what she's saying.
I actually don't know what that means. Sorry, that's my English.
Yay! Okay. So a pet peeve is something that really, really bothers you greatly. You can feel it in your body when you think of it, but in the grand scheme of things, it does not matter. So for instance, very common ones that people use in my demos are like those people who take up 2 parking spaces in a parking lot when they don't need to, like just because, yeah, those people. So one that I always talk about is my mom on road trips. Even now she will do this. She'll go to the nearest gas station. She buys a package of corn nuts, which if you don't know what corn nuts are, they are this really stinky snack. She opens them, eats 2, and then just has the package open for the duration of the 12-hour car ride or whatever it is. All I have to do is smell corn nuts. All somebody has to do is mention corn nuts, and I am enraged. In the grand scheme of things, this is not a big deal. Perfect for this demo. Other really common ones are the correct way to load a dishwasher. So knives up versus knives down. For whatever reason, it seems that people who have diametrically opposed views on this get married and then they just fight about it until death or divorce. I don't know. Also, the correct way to put toilet paper on the toilet paper roll. That is another very common thing that people use, right? People have very strong feelings about this. In the grand scheme of things, not important. All right, does everybody have something like that? That when you think about it now, you can feel it in your body that this bothers you. I can give you time to think about it, but give me a head nod when you've got your thing, because I feel like it might help other people come up with something. Sarah, do you have something? Can you unmute yourself? Yeah.
Yes. Only because the kitchen's right in front of me. This is what came to mind. I like to nest things in the kitchen. I feel really silly saying this. Okay. I like nesting things in the kitchen. Like I know some people just kind of throw stuff in there, and I'm not like a neat freak, but I like nesting Tupperware. My husband does not believe in this, and it drives me insane to open the cabinet and see. And we even have the kind that like click together, like so they're designed so they nest and they click.
Right.
There's
no reason for him not to nest these things.
So you have to like climb and find Tupperware lids. So yes, that's it. Not nesting.
Sarah, that is beautiful. All right. Do the rest of you, great example. Do the rest of you have something that you can use? So like you could even see it when she was talking about it. She has very strong feelings about this, and there is a right way and there's a wrong way. And she is on the right side of things and her husband is wrong, right? You can see it. All right. So MC, you got your thing?
I do. And mine is
Yay.
related to driving. So it's kind of 2 parts. People that don't drive the speed limit and people that don't signal. Come on, people.
Beautiful. Okay. All right. So y'all got your things. Yes. Those are 2 great examples. Or people who like you let them in and they don't give you the thank you wave. That's another really common one.
Yeah.
But all right. So Crystal, Porsche, if you guys want to share, you can, but seems like, do you feel like you got it? Or do you,
Yeah,
Crystal.
I had to think about it because I'm like, I don't have anything, and I do. So clean the coffee maker when you're done with it. I didn't realize that I had such a thing about it until like recently. Like I went over like a friend's house and I was just without thinking about it, I just did it. He's like, you don't have to. I was like, no, I have to. I have to clean everything. No coffee grinds, nothing. Just and I'm not a neat freak. It's just that thing. Just yeah.
Excellent. Excellent. Great job. Beautiful. And Porsche, you don't have to, like, if you're not in a place where you can hop on real quick, but I just want to make sure you've got it. I don't know if you can give me like a thumbs up reaction or. Yay. Okay, cool. All right. So here is what I want you to do. So you all have your pen and paper. Yeah. All right. What I want you to do is just give this a movie title. Now, this does not need to, you don't need to give it a movie title that is currently in existence. But if you were going to give this, if this were going to be made a movie and you were going to title it, what would you call it? And I just want you to write that down. You guys don't need to get super, like, don't get worked up about this part. This is the easy part. But just put something that it will remind you of what it is that you're tapping about. And it could even be something like, seriously, are you kidding me? Why? Whatever it is, I just want you to come up with a phrase and write that down. All right, now once you've got that, what I want you to do is name the emotion that you are currently feeling right now when you think about this thing that you're about to tap on. Is it anger, frustration, sadness, rage, whatever it is, just write it down. And then what I want you to do is rate it. The way that I want you to rate it is if 10, it's going to be on a 0 to 10 scale, where 10 is the most you can feel something and 0 is you don't feel it at all. And I just want you to check in, and whatever emotion you put, how strongly do you feel it right now when you think about this thing? And the last thing I want you to write down for now is what is going on in your body that lets you know you feel rage at an 8 or frustration at a 7, disbelief at a 4, whatever it is, just jot down. And then when you are done, just kind of look up. And if you can easily do this, there's few enough of you that we could actually do this out loud. But if you can write in the chat your emotion and your number, so I can kind of see where you guys are. Yeah, Marlene, that's pretty sedate, but okay.
You know, I'm always saying this, you know.
Good. MC, good. Annoyance at a 6. I like that higher number. I want to see if there's anybody who's even higher than that. Well, I want to know all your numbers. If you can do it. Sarah's frustration at a 6. Okay.
Porsche, I think accidentally you sent it to me alone. I'll copy paste, or can you change to everyone, Porsche? It just came directly to me, that's all. Your message. I'll copy paste it for her. That's from Porsche.
Oh, I like that. Okay. And Crystal, you don't, oh, there's Crystal. Frustration 7. Ooh, okay. That's a good number. I like that. All right, cool. Because if it were corn nuts, I would be at a 10 plus, but Y'all are calm. All right. So the way that I like to do this group stuff is I like to tap with one person individually, and everyone else will still tap, but just in support of that person. And then when I'm done with the person that I'm tapping with, then I want to check in with everyone else to see how they go and to tell them where to go from there. So that would mean that I would need a volunteer. And I am asking for that now.
So Denise, can you explain, I guess, what you mean by tapping?
I was about to get there, like
emotions, or like what are we
no,
getting
no,
into?
no. So I'm actually going to have you, and we're going to do this Simon Says style, and everybody's going to do it, whether you're the demo person or not. I've done so many of these things. Sometimes I forget that I didn't tell you all what it was that I was going to have you all do. So tapping refers to the stimulation, using your fingertips to stimulate certain acupressure points on your head and torso. So tapping combines that with certain statements, certain elements of cognitive behavioral therapy. It's the stimulation of the acupressure point that actually interrupts the stress response. And the words that I'm going to have you say, it's like the words are a laser that focuses the interruption where it is that you need it in the moment. Does that make sense? Okay. So what I would like to do now is to lead someone through the tapping. And well, actually, let me show you where the points are first that we're going to be using, and then I'm going to do it. So the first point, and you don't have to take notes on this part because your free gift for attending is that you get the first week of my 6-week course, which shows you in detail all the points, and it gives you the mechanics of tapping. So you don't have to take notes on this, just experience it. So the first point is going to be top of the head. Good. And then the next point is going to be eyebrow point. And just kind of get close to where I'm doing. You can use both hands. I'm using one hand so I can still see you. But you can use one hand, the other hand, both hands. It doesn't matter. It's really forgiving. The next point is called side of the eye. And that's right on the bone. Good. Like I said, I have more details in the thing that I'm going to give you. Under the eye is also on the bone. So that is like right in line with your pupil. Good. Good. Nose, or under the nose, is in between your nose and your lip. Good. And for all of these, or for the duration of your tapping, when you breathe, I want you to try to focus on making your out breath longer than your in breath. The reason is that it's that longer out breath that also stimulates the vagus nerve, which is tied into your stopping the stress response and inducing the relaxation response. So longer out breaths than in breaths, if you can remember. The next point is chin, and that's actually in the indentation between your lip and chin. Good. Collarbone point is if you go to the V, bottom of the V, you go 1 inch down and 1 inch over. There's an indentation between the bones. Good. Under the arm is about 4 inches below your armpit. Good. Inside wrist is an inch below the lines, or below that top line, and you'll go inside to inside. Good. And then back to back. So that's outside of the wrist. Good. Last point that I might have you do is called side of the hand. So that is from your heel to your pinky knuckle. MC, can you raise up a little so I can see what you're doing? Yeah, so I use all 4 fingertips to get in between my bottom knuckle and yeah, there you go. But use all 4. There you go. Great job. So those are the points we're going to be using. And then, so when we do this, I'm going to do it and you are going to Simon Says style mimic what I do. And then one of you, whoever it is that is the volunteer, will repeat what I say, and I'll ask you questions to figure out what else I should say. But that's how this will work. And like I said, I'll check in with the rest of you when we're done to let you know what you should do for your thing at that point. Cool? All right. Does anybody volunteer? MC! Yay!
I'll try it.
Way to go, you. All right. So what was the name of your movie?
Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Oh my God, I love that. Okay.
That's the first thing that popped into my head.
Yay. All right. So the rest of you are muted, but what I want you to do is do exactly what I do and repeat what I say, even though your thing isn't go back to driving school, you idiot. Still, I'm going to have you tap in support of MC. And then, like I said, I'm going to check in with you afterwards. Cool. All right. Go ahead. Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Go
Repeat it.
back to driving school, you idiot.
Good. Go back to driving school, you idiot.
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 Good. Remember to breathe. Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Remember to breathe. Go back to driving school, you idiot.
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 Good. Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Breathe. Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Go back to driving school, you idiot.
Go back to driving school.
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 Good. Stop. Take a deep breath. What number are you for? Where'd you go? Annoyance.
4.
Good. Okay. So you went down a little bit. All right. We're going to keep going. Even though I have this, go back to driving school, you idiot, in my body. Repeat it, MC.
Oh, sorry. Even though I have go back to driving school, you idiot, in my body.
I love and accept myself completely.
I love and accept myself completely.
Good. Even though I have this, go back to driving school, you idiot, all through my body.
Even though I have go back to driving school, you idiot, all throughout my body.
I accept all my feelings about this.
I accept all my feelings about this.
And it's okay that I have them.
And it's okay that I have them.
Even though I have all these, go back to driving school, you idiot, feelings in my body.
Even though I have all these feelings about go back to driving school, you idiot, in my body.
Good. I choose to love and accept myself anyway,
I choose to love and accept myself anyway,
whether I let go of them or not.
whether I let go of them or not.
Either way is okay.
Either way is okay.
I give myself permission to have them.
I give myself permission to have them.
Good. Top of the head. Go back to driving school, you idiot.
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 My God, can't you know how to drive?
My God, can't you know how to drive?
Did no one ever teach you?
Did no one ever teach you?
Did you never learn?
Did you never learn?
How do you not know how to drive?
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 Are you kidding me with this?
Are you kidding me with this?
Okay, what would you say?
What would you say?
Oh no, I'm actually asking you. I want you to say what you would say.
Oh, seriously? Get out of my
Good.
way.
Just get out of my 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 way.
All these feelings of just get out of my way in my body.
All these feelings that just get out of my way in my body.
Where do you feel it in your body? I'm asking.
I kind of feel it in my face. It feels flush right now.
Okay. Just get out of my way.
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 Just get out of my way. Go ahead, slow your tapping down too. Just get out of my way.
Just get out of my way.
All these feelings in my face.
All these feelings in my face.
I just want them to get out of my way.
I just want them to get out of my way.
And it's okay that I feel that way.
It's okay that I feel that way.
I give myself permission to feel that way.
I give myself permission to feel that way.
It's okay that I feel that way.
It's okay that I feel that way.
It's okay and I'm okay.
It's okay and I'm okay.
Good. Stop, take a deep breath. What number of annoyance are you now?
2.
Good. Let's just do one more round real quick. Even though I have this remaining, go back to driving school in my body.
Even though I have this remaining go back to driving school in my body.
It's okay.
It's okay.
I can keep it.
I can keep it.
I can let it go.
I can let it go.
It's my choice.
It's my choice.
Either way is okay.
Either way is okay.
Even though I have this remaining, just go back to driving school, you idiot, in my body.
Even though I have this go back to driving school, idiot, you idiot in my body.
And I may never let it go.
And I may never let it go.
That really is okay.
That really is okay.
Even though I may never get rid of the remaining, just go back to driving school, you idiot, in my body.
Even though I may never get rid of the remaining go back to driving school, you idiot in my body.
It's okay and I'm okay.
It's okay and I'm okay.
I give myself full permission to keep it.
I give myself full permission to keep it.
And I give myself permission to let it go.
And I give myself permission to let it go.
Either way is okay.
Either way is okay.
Good. This remaining, go back to driving school, you idiot.
This remaining go back to driving school, you idiot.
This remaining, go back to driving school, you idiot.
This remaining go back to driving school, you idiot.
This remaining, go back to driving school, you idiot.
This remaining go back to driving school, you idiot.
Any and all remaining, just go back to driving school, you idiot.
Any and all remaining, just go back to driving school, you idiot.
It's okay if it stays.
It's okay if it stays.
It's okay if it goes.
It's okay if it goes.
Either way is okay.
Either way is okay.
I'm okay either way.
I'm okay either way.
I accept myself either way.
I accept myself either way.
It really is okay either way.
It really is okay either way.
Good. Stop, take a deep breath. What number are you right now?
1.
Good.
Even 0. I would say even 0 at this point. I feel like it's not important. It feels almost comical at this point too, even if I've been annoyed to that level.
Right. Yay. Good job.
Thanks.
All right. So beautiful job, MC. And now I just want to check in with the rest of you. If you could type in the chat, I just want you to check in with your issue, whatever it was, and just rate your number of the emotion that you chose right now, and then type it into the chat. So put your starting number and your ending number so I can see what the change was, and then I'm going to tell you what to do about it. Okay, Sarah went from a 6 to a 1. Woohoo. Crystal 7 and 2. Yay. Marlene went 4 to 2. You're just even Steven. I don't even know what to do with you. And Porsche went 8 to 5. Great. All right. So there are 3 things that can happen with your numbers when you tap. They can go up, they can go down, or they can stay the same. When you are tapping on your own, if they are going down, but they're not yet at a 0, just keep going. You're on the right track. Maybe you just need a little more time. If they go up, that's actually a really good sign. It means you were cluing into the problem. So maybe you'd been repressing it or denying it, but now you're paying attention to it. And it's kind of like vomiting. Sometimes as it is on its way out, it comes up first. Keep going. Do not stop. You're doing great. The last option is if your number doesn't change at all. And all that means is that you need to get more specific with your tapping. So a couple of easy ways to get more specific are make sure that you are not censoring yourself. So say exactly the thoughts that are in your head as you are saying them in your head. That's one way. Another way is to get more specific about the way that it feels in your body. You don't have to try to change the way it feels in your body, but just observe it. And as you are observing, describe it. It will change, and just keep describing the change, what it is, and the changes as specifically as you can. So because MC's numbers were already moving down, I didn't really ask her too much about how she felt it in her body. But if they hadn't been, I might have asked her questions about the feeling of being flushed in her face. Like, where exactly is it? Just notice it as, is it moving around? How hot is it if it's hot? Like, that kind of thing. Does anybody have any questions about that? All right. Does anybody have any comments about what it is that we just did?
Oh, I had a question.
Yeah.
Does it matter which hand or which side you use to tap?
No, not at all. So when I am tapping by myself, I actually like to use 2 hands for the points that are bilateral. And I like to alternate. And the reason that I do that is because it mixes your left and right side of your brain. So I don't know. I think that things, like, it scrambles the thoughts more. And since these are thoughts I don't want, that's why I do it. But this is a super forgiving process. So as long as I'm getting one hand, and I do that in demo so I can see you guys, you're fine. You can switch hands. You can do it if you're using both, you can do it at the same time, which I find difficult to do. So I alternate. Yeah, so it doesn't matter at all. Cool.
Thanks.
Sure. Anybody else?
And is it kind of a light little touch, or like how much pressure are you actually putting?
Okay, so the good news is that I talk about what Crystal asked, and I address that in the free gift that I'm giving you. But just so that you know, don't hurt yourself. And, the pressure doesn't really matter. And I go into this in more detail, but yeah. So as long as you are noticing your numbers decreasing, you're doing it right. And then there's just like, you can do it better than that. But if I had seen you going way too hard, I would have stopped you.
Okay.
You were doing great. Sure. Anything else? I just want to make sure that I got it before I go on to the next thing. All right, I feel like you guys are good for the questions. All right. So this demo was just to show you that tapping works, and that it can work for something even when you think that the emotions that you are feeling about it are very strong and you couldn't possibly feel a different way about whatever it is. So that's one of the reasons that I love doing pet peeve tapping as my demo. But obviously I can't show you everything that, that you would need. So I have two things that I wanted to talk to you about. If you wanted to know more, and if you want to answer the questions, or you want to use it for different things that are specific to you. So here are the two things. And if you guys got to go, like, that's totally cool. Whenever you got to go is fine. So one of the things is, I do have a course. It is a 6-week course that is for emotional freedom, and it shows you many different ways to tap and about many different emotions. So whether it is sadness, anger, frustration, guilt, fear, doesn't matter. There are different tapping strategies for different emotions in different situations. It is a 6-week course. I'm very excited about offering it now because I don't know where you guys are in the world, but 7 weeks from now is Thanksgiving, which is a very stressful time in the US for a lot of families. And this would be a great gift for you and your family, if it is a stressful time, to go ahead and have a number of different strategies at your disposal to deal with that stress. So that was thing one. But the other thing, I'm actually also very, very excited, and this is a brand new program for me. It is a 30-day change your mindset challenge. So one of the things that I have just recently used this for is, so for my business, I felt I needed an Instagram presence, and I absolutely hate Instagram. I've resisted it for years, but it was getting embarrassing. So I actually did a specific way of tapping that's not in the 6-week course. And I took myself through this way to come up with a tapping script, and then I tapped it, every day, the way that I'm going to take you all through it. And I now have an Instagram presence. And trust me, if you had seen what was there before, it's really an amazing thing. But the other thing I used it for at the same time was internet dating. So I have avoided online dating for 17 years now. And I've been doing some internet dating, y'all. I promise. Getting the profile up is something people have bugged me about it, and I was so resistant. Thank you, Portia. I appreciate it. I would not have been able to do it. I would never have been able to talk myself into doing it unless I had done this exercise. And so I can imagine that if you were thinking, I will never be able to audition for whatever, I will never be able to play in whatever orchestra, this is the exercise for you. It is the whole challenge. So that includes, there's 3 group calls like this where I'll tap with you. There's a private Facebook group. All of that is $97. And once you learn it for whatever it is your thing is that you choose, and I will guide you on that, then you have it for life, and you can use it for anything, much like I did. So that's what I wanted to tell y'all about. And whether you want that or not, you still get the free gift of the that first week of the 6-week course free. And bye, Sarah. And a call with me just to give you some guidance on how you can use tapping in your life. Cool. Does anybody have any questions or comments about any of that? So it could also be on what it is that we just did, or either of the offers.
I know Sarah just left, but
Mhm.
maybe could you give, I think that in the free week you will explain this, right? Like how they can figure their own ways of applying to the specific stage, right? Stage fright or something. Like, is it like you come up with the feeling first, and then do you have to contrast with anything, or some you just say the feelings that you're feeling in that moment? Is that's the part that I think maybe it would be nice to have a little bit more clarity just on like if you did something with like I know when you took me through it was very much the feelings that I was feeling, and then it just felt funny because we were saying those things, but it was doing the opposite, right? Like so I find that really fascinating. So can you elaborate a little bit, like why does that happen, or
Sure. So it's the whole reason that, so when you are talking to someone about your problem, you will feel better in the sense that you are communing with someone. But one of the problems with talking is that if you're talking about something that is distressing, in a lot of ways, it re-traumatizes you because you're going through it again. And yes, you get a bit of a release from the communion, but you're not actually doing anything to change your stress response. The tapping is what interrupts the stress response. And so, all right, so what I did with you was basically a private session, Marlene. So it would be hard to teach all of that.
Of course, yeah. Which is why in the first week is that's where it's important.
So
yeah.
So the first week, so the first week is more the mechanics of tapping. So it addresses all of those questions that people would have. But what you say when you're tapping is what is covered in the course, and different ways to say things. And remember, what you say is the laser that focuses it. So the difference between the course, so the course teaches you to deal with whatever emotions are coming up. And it's whether it's coming up in the moment or you're thinking about something in the future, you're going to have feelings that come up. And so that's what the course teaches you. The mindset challenge is actually, if you think you couldn't possibly do something or get somewhere, this will change it. What it does not do is address the emotions that are underlying it, which is one of the reasons that I have the 3 group calls, because as you are doing this, feelings might come up and then I will tap with you on whatever it is that people bring up. So those are kind of the differences. What I can tell you right now, if you're going to, use what you've done tonight, and I have had people who later tell me that they just took this and they ran with it and they use it on different things. Say exactly what you're thinking. Just tap while you do it. I would need more time to explain what you do if you have conflicting thoughts and emotions. Or another thing like self-sabotage is addressed. So if there's procrastination, perfectionism, you have an attachment to the behavior, it's giving you a benefit, and that's more complicated, and that's part of what I cover in the 6 weeks. But as a basic way to tap, whatever you're thinking, describe what you're feeling, describe the way it physically feels in your body. And if you do that while you're tapping through the points, and you'll get the reminder from the free gift of where the points are, that is a great start for tapping. So
perfect. Thank you so much. That was a great explanation. Yeah.
Hey, Porsche.
Hi, I was just clapping.
Oh, you're clapping. I thought you were raising your hand. Sorry.
Great explanation. I would definitely use the pointers.
Yay. That is great. So yeah, I would love it if you would connect with me. And so I know that that's going out in a follow-up email. And then if you use this stuff, I would love to hear how it goes.
Yeah, you'll receive as soon as we finish the call. You'll get the access to the free call with Denise, so you can take advantage of that. I would really take advantage because it was really nice to be able to see more applicable. Like this is kind of an example, but I think going deeper, if you have a chance, I would definitely do that as soon as you can. and thank you so much for the free week. I think that's really amazing too. So that's all the links are going tonight, so you'll have them for yourself, and the replay as well. The replay will be there, and I'll add it to the app as well. So you'll have 2 links, at least one from the email, and then the other one, as soon as my computer finishes doing its thing, I will upload it to the app as well. So that's logistics. After this, I'll send everything.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Marlene, because it's really hard in a group setting like this. I'm talking in generalities. But tapping works best the more specific you are. So if you have questions about your specific situation and how you would use it, oh my goodness, take advantage of the call. It's free, it's confidential. And then I can give you specific advice for you. That's what I would say about that.
Oh, I really highly recommend it, guys. Just if you can, just go, because yeah, it's incredible. And I know, so my frustration, to let you know, it was all about the toilet paper, because I'm one of those people that I hate it when it's backwards. It just frustrates me so much. But I think because I've been doing tapping, it felt like a 4. I'm like, well, that's kind of silly. So I guess it didn't feel as, but it really does bother me. Like everywhere I go, I turn it the other way. So.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So I have to tell you this story. And if you guys got to go, fine, but you should listen to the replay because this is a great story. So one of the demos that I did, so when I was in my previous employer and trying to get approval, we had our own police force. And I had been trying for years to get tapping to these police officers. So I finally got a meeting with one of the guy who is the head of training and development for them. And so we're talking, he's like, okay, well, I am way into self-improvement. So I think it's great to be into it, but I cannot imagine that these police officers are going to tell you how they feel about things and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. We start where they are. And I told him about the toilet paper. And he said, my wife. And I was like, oh, does she do one? You do that? And he's like, no. And I said, oh, does she like prop it up on the holder? He's like, no. She'll replace it, but she leaves it on, like she'll bring a new roll of toilet paper, but she leaves it on the floor. What kind of monster is she? So I said, all right, let's tap about it. So we did. And it wasn't even 5 minutes that we tapped. And then he said, we're done here. And I thought when he said that, I was like, oh my God, I have just ruined, like I bombed this interview. He left. The next morning he calls me and he says, I need to meet with you. And I'm still like, oh shit, what do I do? So anyway, he comes to my office and he says, I need you to know that when I got home and I saw the roll of toilet paper on the floor, I felt nothing. I felt nothing. And I said, well, you know, you can use tapping for all kinds of things, including if you want to have a conversation with her about changing her habits. I can tap with you about that so you can have the conversation from a calm place. And he looked me dead in the eye and said, that's how I know she's in my life. And I know that he was serious because later on he mentioned it again, like he was so excited about the change in his attitude about it that he told his wife. And he said that she said, you told her what? So you know it's true. So anyway, if there is something in your life that you would like that kind of turnaround on, These are these 2 different methods, the challenges that I've got going, and please book the call so we can talk about what's important to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. And this was great. Y'all were wonderful.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you very much, please.
Sure. Good night.
Thank you,
Good
guys.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Is there anything you guys need to talk to me about before we go or anything? Are you all good with the chat? Like are you practicing the bootcamp or not yet? Or like what's going on before you go? Not, MC,
I'm catching up.
No? You're catching up? Crystal, what
Catching
week
up,
are
yeah.
you? Okay.
I'm like going into 2. Like I'm
Right.
catching up though.
That's all good. And MC, I can talk to you later. No worries. And go ahead, MC.
I just have I have not gotten back into the practice routine, but I need to because the last month at work has been very, very stressful, and getting back into teaching. And my team at work, we had a departure. One of our advisors went on to a different team, and there was a bit of a restructuring, and my workload has just gone up significantly without, really any consultation process. So I'm like, like my stress is up here, and I'm like, okay, I need my music. I need my people, and I need my music to bring my stress down. So it has to become a priority.
Yeah.
So
No,
I'm motivated to start back again. Yeah, exactly. Be doing that all day long. And if you're on conference calls, and people are going to think I'm crazy, just like tapping away.
Oh, I will say there are ways you can do it where the people don't even know you're doing it. That's covered in the course.
Okay, cool.
I like that. That's pretty cool. And Porsche, are you doing okay, Porsche, in general?
And I'm right along with with MC as well. Like it's been a lot going on. I haven't been practicing as much, and I miss it so much. I'm just like, I'm ready to start back. So yeah.
No worries, guys. I'm here, so just reach out whenever, and we'll figure it out. And the course is there, and if you feel it's too much or too little, we'll talk about it, and we'll work around it. So I just wanted to touch base because it's the first time we've been together in a while. Like it's been a while, so I'm very happy you came. But Denise, I'm so happy you came because it's wonderful, and I think honestly that we can take so much advantage of this. And I really, really encourage you guys to go and talk to her in person because it's really been a changer for me, especially this summer. It's been, well, you've seen my computer doesn't it's freaking out. My house was on construction, and then I lost a friend this summer as well, and all these certain things that have been happening, and it's been a rough summer, and just how it changed in a moment, how I was feeling when I got the news to being able to speak freely. It was really impressive, and of course, I mean, later you have to deal with deeper feelings, but the moment I was functional, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't even speak before. So it's really valuable. I hope you can take advantage of it. And I appreciate Denise for doing this for us so much.
Oh, you are so welcome. And when she says that she couldn't speak, she's not kidding. She couldn't speak for the first 15 minutes of the call. And so to go from that to being able to perform at a professional level on that podcast, that's the change that can happen. And even if you don't have that need right now, I would love for you to have this in your back pocket for when you do need it. So thank you so much for the opportunity to speak to your people. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
You should come and play with us more often too. I'll do another improvisation, then we can all do it. We'll tap and play at the same time.
It would be so interesting to see the improvisation happen before and after, like a little bit of tapping to see like if people get looser. That would be really, really cool.
It's not a crazy idea. It would be a good way to experience it, because I was thinking about that. How can we experience how it feels like, because it is stressful to ask someone to play in front of people, even if it's here, on Zoom, because and I try to make the process as simple as possible. But you were there, Denise, so it's intimidating for whatever reason, and also the fact that improvisation is you're free, you don't have a script to follow, so sometimes that's by itself sometimes challenging, right? But yeah, I'm game. If you want to do that, we can do it one time and just be there and then experience it to see what happens.
It would be really interesting to see what the difference is, especially, violinists, a bunch of perfectionists, generally speaking. So the idea of telling them, oh, but just do anything, and it's fine if you sound bad, just play. You're like, wait.
You're like,
Right. So instantly there's a stress response. So it would be so fascinating to see, like, if we calm that down and then see what
I
they-
like that a lot. Maybe I'm just gonna put it out there, and then we'll see if you're game and you want to do it and come and play with us, and we can experiment with this. I am totally up for it. So
But
I'll post it on
Marlene, we'll talk.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Okay.
All right. Really great. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a great night, everyone.
hey, thank you.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks. Like.